Alrighty, looks like we've got allies and prosperity today. It was just a few minutes ago in real time that I finished up yesterday's daily, and suffice it to say, did not go great. Was not the best Dominion playing I've ever done. So hopefully I can focus a little bit better here and play a little bit more confidently this time. We got prosperity back with Clerk and Rabble and Horde all having shown up in the previous game. We got draw as Rabble on Broker. Landscape is Mountain Folk is also draw, and the favors for Mountain Folk are coming from Broker, Contract. I think that's it. Yeah, they're the only two liaisons. In general, I'd say Mountain Folk is one of the weakest allies. Five favors for three cards is just generally not a good rate. For Broker, for example, you could trash a card that costs five and get five cards immediately, or take favors and get three cards later, and that's just not a great exchange. So I expect this is probably not too central. For villages, there's Specialist and Merchant Camp. For trashing, Crystal Ball, Broker, and Investment. For gains, I think this is going to be the big limitation. Specialist can gain things, Anvil can gain cheap things, Horde can gain golds. But there's no plus buy and no way to gain more than one victory card per turn, which normally is a pretty strong indication that you should just play big money because there's not much value in building an engine if you're just going to buy a province every turn anyway. Here, I think it actually means investment might be really significant because Specialist can't gain victory cards, but Specialist or Anvil could gain you additional investments. There's also a bunch of kingdom treasures. So you could potentially get this up to a big number. And that's a lot of extra victory points right there, which is enough payoff to building a deck, I think. So I think that's the end goal. I mean, you probably want to buy a colony per turn as well, but I think you want to build a deck that can buy a colony and place a number of investments and pop those for victory points at an opportune time. Which also probably means I should be a little less focused on thinning coppers early and just add more draw to compensate. And I trash the coppers later with investment to get a big uh, increase in points. I think I would not mind a pair of contracts actually. This deck looks otherwise, potentially a little bit finicky. Grapple's okay draw, but you got to find it with Merchant Camp, which is a non-drawing village, or you got to find something like Specialist Rabble in your starting hand. So it's not super easy to kick off the turn. Could be a Merchant Camp Broker, trash an expensive card. But I could easily see dudding here. In contract, well, for one, it actually does give favors. Maybe Mountain Folk is kind of relevant because it gives you a larger starting hand, but also just lets you delay an extra Rabble for the following turn, which I think makes duds a lot less likely. So yeah, I think I wouldn't mind a pair of contracts. And I want a bunch of Rabbles, a bunch of Specialists, some number of investments early, a bunch of them later. Horde might not be bad. It is a unique treasure and it gains you more treasures. And then, not that you need a bunch of money here. You only ever need 11 money to buy one thing per turn. But if you have a bunch of expensive stuff like extra golds in the deck, you can broker them for cards or favors or actions or whatever you need. How to open. Thinking broker to trash the estates. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it should just be investment immediately. Although I don't really need investment for quite a while for the points purposes. In broker silver, Anvil looks like a card that I probably want at some point. I'm not sure if Anvil's good early. It makes you less likely to hit five than silver. Do I want the cheap stuff? I want to pick up a bunch of investments eventually, but I don't think that's an early game goal. I think the early game goal is get a bunch of like rabbles and contracts and specialists. So I think it's just broker silver for me. Bot takes investment, fair enough. What's the first five? I think I'll start with contract. Oh, my poor broker is hiding. I'm not gonna bother playing that. I want five. Trashing copper isn't that important. It's supposed to trash the estates, and it's slacking off. I'll go ahead and take a merchant camp now. And one more rabble. Could I draw a broker and an estate? Only half of that? Treasure copper, I suppose. I have one contract. Let's add a second one. Don't think I want to talk to the merchant camp. That was a very painful rabble attack. I mean, for the once you trash your estates, which I am remarkably behind on because my broker has whiffed on estates twice now. It's whiffed on estates twice and missed a shuffle entirely once. So I'm struggling here a bit. But in theory, once you trash your estates, the rabble attack is just like randomly sorting or resorting your cards. Uh, but in practice, it can sometimes skip a disproportionate amount of the good cards. I think I got to draw here. I just saw way too many of my draw cards end up in the discard, so I got to get back around as fast as possible. And it worked out pretty well anyway. Let's take a specialist. I do kind of want a horde, but it feels early for that. I'm probably not buying victory cards anytime soon. I think I'm just going to take one more specialist. Delay the merchant can't buy into the rabble. Annoyingly, I found none of them in my starting hand. At some point, oh, here we go. Mountain folk to the rescue. It's a rabble. All right, we're all hunky dory now. Is there any value to playing this rabble? I mean, I guess the attack. No, the bot has no victory cards in its deck. The attack does nothing. Do I have I have another specialist, don't I? I'm making that up. Shoot. I definitely have another rabble, but it's hiding on the bottom. Uh, it will. Cards. Yep, there it is. This is probably plus actions, right? Let me think about this. Yeah, I think it's plus actions. Play specialist, play contract, play rabble, or set aside rabble. And importantly, with throne rooms, if a throne room plays a duration card and the duration card stays out of play, the throne room's going to stay out with it. But that's only true if you are replaying that contract an additional time. So, for example, a courier or an herb gatherer, or something that just plays a contract once, is not going to stay out with the contract. It stays out when it plays the card an additional time, and you need to have that extra card stay out of play to track that you played it multiple times. So, a specialist, if I play specialist and choose to play contract twice, even if I only set aside once, as long as contract is going to be stuck out of play, specialist will get stuck with it. But if I choose the play it once and gain a copy option rather than choosing the play it twice option, then specialist is not going to stay out of play because there's no additional play of contract to track. So as long as I do this, my specialist is not getting stuck. And just another rabble. Or maybe it's time to add an anvil for gaining investments. I think that's probably true. Okay, this draw is bad. Is there anything worth doing here? I guess I can. Would I rather play Anvil twice or gain a second copy of Anvil? I guess those actually are not particularly different with Anvil. And I can just play it and gain a copy of Anvil. And let's start on the investments, I think. Yeah, I'll take a horde now. Oh boy. The bot has a bunch of specialists now. And specialist is a good card here. What are my action cards? I was planning to draw a bunch of actions with the 6 extra draw that I just gained there and set a bunch of stuff aside. But apparently that was not in the cards. I'm going to trash a copper. I don't want to trash too many coppers for my purposes, but I think one more is fine. Kill this and buy another specialist. Okay, yeah, I blinked and the specialist disappeared, which, I don't know, probably my fault. Specialists are good here, and I think I was just not paying enough attention and the bot nabbed a bunch while I wasn't looking. Now I gotta be careful because the bot is certainly threatening the ability to pile out soon. Can I get 2 more turns, please? Is that unreasonable? I hate this rabble animation. Not the rabble in particular, just a lot of stuff flying around the screen. Where are I swear I have actions in this deck. Maybe I'm making that up. I just want to keep playing. Like, I could have set aside the rabble, but I figure I'm going to draw 3 cards. I will surely draw at least one other action for this poor contract. And nope, no, I will not. Well, actually, let me not play it yet. Let me play the crystal ball first. Nope. I was thinking maybe there's a chance that hit a rabble and then drew me more action cards. But what a silly thing for me to think. All right, let me play this. And gotta be a little bit careful because the bot has a bunch of specialists, can pile out. What do I most want to play with specialist? Maybe anvil twice? I mean, lowering investment is kind of dangerous here. Broker. Broker can be drawn in a pinch. I don't have my horde in play. I would buy a province if I could. Not. Let's do one more horde, I guess. Okay, draw. Well, something's dying for actions. So I think I broker the contract for actions. And then specialist the rabble. Gotta draw a bunch of cards here. Okay. And let's just broker the merchant camp with the rest of the cards in my deck. Okay. Do I win this turn? I need to gain 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only gain 4 things, right? Anvil, anvil. Specialist on anvil is a third gain, plus 1 buy to buy rabbles. I don't think it's possible for me to win this turn. Unless I'm missing something. In theory, I could gain something and play it with Crystal Ball. But none of the stuff I'd be gaining is helpful as far as uh, piling out goes. So yeah, I think I don't quite have it. That's what I'm led to believe. Okay, then. Let's just go ahead and pop a bunch of these for points. Points lead. Set aside specialist. I'll take another investment. Uh, do I want to play anything from the discard? Let me rethink this. I'm thinking maybe I should like gain a broker and take the 50-50 to yeah, I think I like that better actually. Let's discard silver, gain a broker. If I hit the broker, the plan was gonna be crash a horde for favors just to give me extra draw next turn. This might be better actually, because it means I got a broker top decked and a village set aside on contract. So this guarantees that I don't dud next turn. I can trash something for a bunch of draw and get my deck going. Let's just buy a colony. Now I've got a bunch of gold in the deck that I can trash. Okay, I get it, Rabble. I'm gonna have a colony on top of my deck. I got the message. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be the last turn of the game, right? Actually, let me not count my chickens too early. It's probably gonna be the last turn of the game. I can if I trash more for draw, I think I can fit my specialist on gains more so here. I don't need this colony. Actually, I was gonna trash the colony for draw, but actually there's only 7 cards left, so I don't really need to do that either. I can afford to just trash a cold. Okay, and now let's just do silver for actions. Specialist. Discard a bunch of these for more investments. And I'll trash the rabble. The rabble. Take a bunch of points. And buy the last rabble. Okay, yeah. I was worried for a second there because I do think getting into the specialists did seem quite strategic. Specialist is a good card here. The bot's not playing with investment though, which I think is a problem for its deck. And actually, did it just have 0 investments? It had investment. It opened with an investment and popped it for points early. Uh, but then I think seemed to be consigning itself to just a single colony later on. I do like investments as a means of scoring. Yeah, I think I would have liked some more specialists earlier. Otherwise, I think I'm happy with this deck. Still not entirely sure.